Phil Olaleye, resident of Summerhill, candidate for House District 59.
All right, so thank you for being here with us today, Phil. Can you just kind of give us your background and why you're running for this position?
So, grew up in Georgia, Stone Mountain, son of immigrant parents, and really pushed up against many obstacles and barriers to opportunity myself. Having to travel 2 hours one way, taking 2 buses just to obtain a quality education has really rooted my lived experience and my values in a commitment to helping and serving those most in need and ensuring that we are spreading opportunity to others, particularly those folks and communities who are being left behind.
And I know one of the things that you are actively doing and running is the Next Generation Men and Women. So kind of share more about that and how this has kind of influenced you along the way.
So Next Generation Men and Women is a local education nonprofit working to close opportunity gaps facing our under-resourced high school youth. And when we talk about under-resourced youth in the city of Atlanta, we're talking about predominantly Black and brown young men and women. And so we do that through exposure, connecting our young folks to local companies and colleges to see what's out there in terms of industries, careers, opportunities, get excited about their futures. And then we combine that with an after-school support and mentorship component. And the past couple of years have been really difficult for working families, managing both work and making a living with childcare and the supervision of their students at home. Mental health challenges have been going through the roof. We have a lot of recovery, not just instructional and academic recovery, but behavioral recovery. And so the amount of investments that are needed in our communities and our schools to meet the moment and needs on the ground, has to be greater. And we need folks at the state capitol who have been having those conversations with mothers, with fathers, guardians, educators, school leaders, and our youth at the decision-making tables, fighting and advocating for their interests.
Now, I know you have experience in working in the Peace Corps. How has that influenced you running for this, as well as what you've been doing in various communities?
I mean, the Peace Corps, it was one of those experiences where you're tasked with serving your country in a completely different lived environment, a new culture, new language, new customs. I was the only American, and at that 6'2", 6'3" Black American with long hair, and you're in a position to actually provide a different lens and perspective on just the diversity within our country and who we are and what connects us as human beings. And my work was supporting a squatting indigenous community, and from potable water to youth development projects, food insecurity, medical mission supplies. I mean, we really ran the gamut. And it built a capacity and set a value of mine of showing up and showing up and showing up and listening and working with community to best understand not only their needs and challenges, but the opportunities and solutions that oftentimes reside in the hands of the community that you're trying to serve and support. And so I've taken that value with me across all types of work that I've done, organizing in the Mississippi Delta, moving back home to Atlanta to serve as a director at the city's workforce development agency, and most definitely in my role and position as executive director of Next Gen.
Now, I know you touched on something that I take to heart because I'm from the state of Mississippi, but in organizing in Mississippi and you realizing in the Peace Corps and going in different, countries and cultures and things of that nature, can you make that connection of having that experience and what you've been seeing around, certain parts of Atlanta and the needs that they have here?
Yeah, I mean, you can't take someone's lived experience for granted. Each neighborhood, each community is unique. Having served as the Summerhill neighborhood president, we talk about housing, we talk about just the level of development activity and legacy residents wanting to feel comfortable in knowing that I can still call this place home, that I've called home and resided in for decades. We talk about parks, we talk about youth programs, and there can be a lot of similarities, but there can also be some differences from community to community. So I think what I've pulled from my experiences with the Peace Corps and with any sort of community organizing development work is you show up and you listen and you keep an open mind. Phil, Olaleye, me, the individual, I have my own interests and passions. And my job is, to remain true to who I am, my convictions, my value set as an individual, but to also find ways to better understand those of the communities and the neighbors and residents that you're hoping to represent and serve. And to not just stop there, if and when we're given the opportunity to serve at the state capitol, we know that public policy is not static. Public policy should reflect where people are, where community is. And we know that community and where people are is very fluid and constantly changing. And so it's important for me to continue to show up, continue to listen, continue to keep an open mind, and to pull community and people into the work.
Now that brings me to my next point. For District 59, what are some of the top priorities that you want to address when you're elected in this position?
Housing is at the top of the list because from Inman Park, Cabbagetown, Summerhill, all the way down through Mechanicsville, Sylvan Hills, Capitol View, Camp Creek, just the cost of housing, is out of touch and disconnected with wages, with employment opportunities, and folks want to have some level of economic security. And so our ability to work with and collaborate from the local level on up throughout the state to find solutions, policies, programs that can provide some level of support for our seniors, our legacy residents, all the way down to our working families and some of our newer residents throughout the district is important. Educational opportunity, I mentioned that the past couple of years have been really difficult for families, children, school leaders. So being able to invest properly to provide enrichment programming, to provide tools and resources for our educators and school leaders to help our young folks get back to normal. But also being able to pay and support our educators and school leaders to make sure that they can remain in their professions and keep a lot of the relational capital and a lot of the institutional knowledge that they carry as well. Voting is incredibly important, and fighting to roll back a lot of the restrictive policies that have been set in motion over the past couple of years. We live in a country and we live in a state where every single individual, every resident, every voting age person should have the right to participate in our democracy. And we should be doing everything in our power to increase access to voting and make it easier for folks to participate and have their voices counted in the process.
I know that you are going to show up because of your experience. I know that you're going to listen because of your experience. But can you talk about the moment that you qualified to run for your campaign and the history that was made on that particular day with you and other Democrats that are running in the House?
You have this increased optimism of everyday folks wanting to bring people and community back into politics. Educators, neighborhood leaders, nonprofit leaders, executives, nurses, physicians, who are stepping up to the plate and saying, we're not gonna sit back and wait for others to do the work for us. We're gonna step up and lead and pull community and residents and neighbors in with us. And so it was an exciting moment for me as someone who has dedicated a lifetime to serve in my community, both here in Atlanta and abroad, to be in a position to bring my experiences, the voices of my neighbors and residents, into a decision-making body that can change lives and can increase opportunity and provide security, hope, and optimism to too many folks who have become disillusioned with our process or feel like it's not working for them.
Well, thank you first and foremost for coming in. Thank you for sharing more of your background. And if you would like to take this opportunity to tell people how they can support you and where they can find you online, this is your shot.
Thank you so much, Don, and I want to thank the Atlanta Voice for this opportunity. If you believe in our campaign and what we're fighting for, you can find more information at fillforgeorgia.com. Please donate your resources, help us get our message and our voice directly to the voters, and sign up to volunteer, to canvass, to be a part of our team. All of that information is on the website, again, fillforgeorgia.com. Hope to see you out in the community and vote May 2nd, early voting, as well as May 24th, our primary election day. And also you can follow us on social media at Fill4Georgia on Twitter, on Instagram and Facebook. Follow the campaign, send us some love and support. That's the easiest and quickest way to just stay up to date on the campaign.